Hello, welcome to Brazen Exchange. I'm your host, Vanessa MID. Stay tuned. It's great to be here again. I have with me the lovely Mrs. Unduku Busayo, the one and only. She is the proprietress of Winner School located in Lagos, Nigeria, K2 Lagos, Nigeria to be precise. And I'm just so happy and excited to have her here with me. It has been a long time since we last saw and communicated. So this is just a huge pleasure. It's great to have you here, Ma.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. In today's episode, we'll be discussing the UTME age limit that was set by the Federal Ministry of Education. He came out recently to announce this policy. And when he did that, he said that this policy will run for both senior secondary certificate examination and the UTME. These are examinations written by candidates who are about to seek tertiary education. And he said that there will be an age limit policy that is the age of 18. So now there was pushback from relevant stakeholders, and this made the minister come out to announce that this policy will only be for the students or candidates who are writing the UTME and not for SSC candidates anymore. Before we go into this topic, Mrs. Unduku, please can you just tell us a bit about your discipline and we'll go from there.
By the grace of God, I'm the proprietress of Winners School at Alapere K2. And being in education line, I've been tutoring from the early year to primary to secondary level. I've been as a school owner for like 20 years. We deal with children of different age to different levels till they graduate to move on to the university level. So that's what we do.
It's great to have you here, Matt. Thank you once again for being here. Is the education system in Nigeria working or failing? What do you think? And what are the current challenges affecting the system?
Actually, well, education is a very big topic when you talk of education itself, because it's a process of receiving and giving out systematic instruction. So either from the nursery level to the secondary level to the university level. So it depends on the aspect, because each of these sections have their peculiar problems, as I would say. But generally, the key challenges we have are many. And I think I will just itemize some few ones that I know are basic that can affect any level, either in the primary or in the secondary or in the tertiary level. But I think lack of qualified and seasoned teachers, because we have a lot of problem. Many people just walk into education either because they didn't get a good job, somebody who study mechanical or some other engineering courses just feel I didn't want to stay idle, let me just take up something, and they decided to find themselves in the educational line. So if we don't have qualified hands, automatically there will be a lot of problem with the education system. Wrong educational policies, just like the one we are discussing about. People just come up with policies and a lot of things, and sometimes they don't even bother to consult people that are really in line with the sector. And then they just bring up a policy, either change this aspect, just sudden changes in so many aspects. So all this affects there are key challenges we are having. Also, we have indiscipline. There are a lot of indiscipline in the sector, that people do a lot of things and nobody is holding them responsible for it. So they just do what they like, and we don't have enough funding. Education has not been receiving enough fundings, and there are a lot of infrastructure, poor infrastructure here and there where children are kept and schools are dilapidated form, and we see a lot of high ratio of students to teachers. You see in some places where we have ratio 1 to 50, you have 1 to 100. So all these are part of the challenges that we'll be facing. Inefficient management. People don't have enough hands to be able to adequately manage the school setting. Corruption. You see a lot of people, they buy results, they buy certificates. So The key challenges are really enormous. There are many. So, but I think I've been able to just mention and tell some. But even in terms of that corruption, you see a lot of parents that do buy results, go to special center. They don't allow the children to really get to understand why they are in school. So all these are key challenges in the education sector that I can, within the short time I have, if we have to deal with each of them, which will take us hours because they are really enormous. Yes, they are
Okay.
major problems.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. For the benefit of our audience, I'd like to clarify that UTME means Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. And this is an examination that is taken by candidates who are seeking tertiary education. So, ma'am, what is your thoughts on this UTME age limit policy set by the Federal Ministry of Education?
Actually, I would say there are advantages and disadvantages. But if we are not careful, the disadvantages may outweigh the advantages. Are you getting me? So when we talk of age limits, this may be kind of a check to control the inflows of children into the university level, either because some will just they are not matured enough. Because in early years, we talk of these key parts, pies, we call it pies. That's the physical development, the intellectual development, we talk of language development, we talk of emotional development, we talk of social development. All these areas, if they are not well developed and a child is being pushed into a higher level, there is possibility of having problems. And that is why you see sometimes some parents, they want their child to move from primary 1 to 4, they move from 4 to 6, and you see some of them, they are underage, they are not really matured. But in immaturity too, we can see that some people are even 18 as the age they are setting, and they are not mature. They behave like a 10 years old children. So sometimes the thing varies. There are some people that are emotionally stable, that even at 14, 15, you see a child is well matured. So if you want to now say, okay, because the child is not up to 18, you want to limit the child, there's possibility of causing some conflict or some problems coming up, either children dropping out, either they are within the age of waiting, lose interest in continuing their education. We see a lot of so many things happening within that time of limit. So I guess that what the government is trying to do in their own part, maybe to reduce the number of children that are going to the university, and also to prevent this immaturity in them. Some of them, when once they get into the school, if they are underage, they just follow peer group, they do a lot of things, they follow friends, and they don't know when to say no to some issues or no to some society influence over them. So for a child to be able to be matured enough to be able to get to that level of tertiary level, I guess that's the reason. And also sometimes parents are the one that will be pushing. They are in hurry. They want the child to finish in time by the age of 19, 20, and finish from the university. All these are not helping the children. So, and there are also some aspects that are controversial about the age limit, because if you look at some children that are already even in medical line, let me use medical line now. I have a daughter that was never given an admission until she was 18, because sometimes when they even go to that profession, there is a need for maturity before they can actually practice. There are some issues that the underage will not even be able to handle it. Especially those that handle maybe anatomy, they take them to mortuary, you get in there. The first time, because some children are afraid and they are shaking, emotionally unstable, they can collapse. Even taking care of sick people and all those. So there must be an age barrier to such profession. But I think that that age limit should not be to all professions due to some reasons. So because some of them that may want to go for courses that are not going to have to do with their emotional strength and ability, they should continue to forward their education, because the age we are, a lot about ICT, a lot uh, internet, social media. So you can even develop more than what the tutor in class can deliver. So if you now want to hinder that child from making progress because you feel that it's not up to a certain age, it's surely going to affect so many things. So I feel that it's both sides. That's how I will see it. My own view.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Unduko. I find it interesting and a bit sad, this policy, because in some parts of Nigeria, there are young girls at tender ages of 7, 8, 9 who are being married off and forced to procreate.
Hmm,
And this is done
hmm,
under a particular law in Nigeria, the Sharia law to be precise. The government is aware of this. They're aware that there is a law that allows children to be married off. They've done nothing to abolish this law. But somehow, when it comes to
hmm.
education, these children are suddenly
Education.
too
Hmm,
young to be enlightened. They are
hmm,
suddenly too young to
hmm,
receive tertiary education.
hmm,
It doesn't make sense to me. And the minister has come out to say
hmm.
that maturity and lack of preparedness are the major reasons why there is an age limit policy of 18 years. So I want to ask, do you think that is a valid justification, maturity?
You know, when you talk of those laws that has to do with early child marriage, that is another topic. Are you following? Because those sectors, those areas, they actually are not educated, because some of them, the type of education they receive is, I would say, is quite different from the some parts of this country. So some laws are being made for some particular people. There are some laws that are supposed to be abolished, which they know the side effects of those early marriage to the lives of those young girls. But you know, because I believe that's where I said wrong policy. If you remember when I was talking of the key challenges, wrong policies, wrong educational policies, either by legislator, either by whosoever is making those laws. They have tried to sideline from maybe a particular set of people to a particular set of things. Because even this education we are talking about, some areas, some aspects, some states up to this moment don't really send their girls child to school, which is part of the abuse on the girl child. So if we want to follow what it ought to be, we see that those laws are supposed to be abolished. And I think some organizations are actually working to educate those girls, even if they don't have normal four walls of classroom, able to go to school, able to know what is right, and then be able to be well educated. There are some organizations now that are taking it upon themselves to do a kind of underground grassroots campaign, so that these people can be enlightened. I believe that they are not really enlightened. And as time goes on, I believe some of these laws are actually going to be wiped off. But you know, easily people that make policy for education, some are not educationists. They don't know what they are going through in the education line. So they just see somewhere there in the office, maybe they just decided to pick a policy and they throw it into the education sector. And this is really actually affecting the progress of education lines. So I see it in that form, because all these laws, of either those that operate under Sharia law or some other laws, they need to review those laws. But you know, when it comes to religion in this country, you just have to be a bit careful. Emotional stability is important when it comes to going to higher learning. But placing an age limit is not justifiable, because we have some children that are early bloomers. I'll call them that way. You can see some children at by 12 they are done with their primary six, or by 11 they are done, and they are doing very well. The IQ is very high. So you cannot use that age to hinder those that are that before that age of 18. They are ready to progress in their learning. So I don't think it's really necessary to set an age limit, because it's going to cause a lot of things that I don't know if this discussion permits. We can still look at them. What are the disadvantages of doing that? With the current trend of education and all this younger generation, the age limit It's not really necessary.
Okay, thank you, Ma. I was carrying out a research
Yeah.
recently and I came across this article by Areafe Babalola of Nigerian Tribune. And he talked about this policy, this age limit policy, and he listed some examples of child prodigies outside Nigeria who have accomplished great things in such little time. And
Yeah.
I'll just start by
Yeah.
stating the first person he mentioned, Sobono Isaac Barry. At the age of 6, he was recognized as a scientist by Harvard University and he won the Child Prodigy Award as a scientist. Rural College of Mumbai University appointed him as a scientist and visiting professor of physics at the age of 11. The second person is Yasha Asli. Yasha, brilliant child, dubbed the human calculator. He is 14 years old and he's currently teaching at the University of Leicester, England, and also pursuing his
Wow.
own
That's
degree
it.
at the same time. Another person, Alia
Uh-huh.
Sabo. Alia gained admission into Stony Brook University at the age of 10 years. 10 years, and she graduated at the age of 14. She finished her master's at the age of 17 and became a visiting professor at the Department of Advanced Technology Fusion at Konkuk University, Seoul, South Korea, at the age of 18 years old. And there are several other examples out there of child prodigies who are doing a lot. And I know it's a reality, it's a fact that we have similar sets of people, similar sets of mind here in Nigeria, but they're being limited. Why? Because of the policies that are not inclusive, the policies that do not allow them to thrive. But before we get into that, I'd just like to ask, how will this policy impact students in Nigeria and really education standards overall? How will this policy impact students in Nigeria?
Yes, that is where we are going. I said it. The IQ, the developmental stage of children of this age, you cannot just limit them by a particular age. Depending on, we see a lot of this video, a lot of all these references that you have just made. If you look at some other countries' curriculum, even some of them, they have learned a lot of skills, a lot of electrical work, a lot on ICT, a lot on other profession, even before they finish at the age 9, which our own current curriculum does not accommodate here in Nigeria. So I believe that those ones, that not that they are really, I can say they are more exposed to whatsoever they are learning, and they can do better in those aspects that you just mentioned. But looking at our own curriculum here and the level at which children are being exposed to being able to do above what we think they can is limited. That's the way I see it. Because if you look at China, you see that a child that is 8, 9 can do a lot of, maybe when it comes to craft, when it comes to baking, when it comes to every aspect of life. So their curriculum has so much accommodated a lot of things that they are able to learn. And at the age of 11, 12, 15, in fact, they have gone far from what we are currently doing here. But when a child is being limited by age, just as enumerated, there will be a lot of dropouts. That's the way I see it. A lot of children, this policy is going to affect, so many of them will lose interest in education, because if a child at the age of 14, 15, done with the WAEC and is waiting to gain admission into the university, is being delayed unnecessarily, maybe for the next 2, 3 years, there's going to be a lot of dropouts. And already we have a lot of children out of school there that we are trying to accommodate into the system so as to help them. So if that policy is being mandated, there will be more dropouts, there will be more children roaming the street, there will be more children that will lose interest in education. So automatically it's going to affect them. And not for now, because a lot of corruptions are out there in our system. There are a lot of corruption that has eaten deep. Even those that are so called that they have finished and they are gaining admission, there are a lot of people that even the results they carry are not their own, because they are buying them anywhere they could get them on internet and all the rest that they do, and they present them and they gain admission. Some will even do a age change. There'll be a lot of lying and a lot of deception that will crept in, because people will now go do affidavits, even the age they are not, they will continue to make all those kind of oaths in order to be able to get themselves into the school. And not only that, if we say we are going to limit some children, we don't have a society that can do that. We don't have a society that promotes education. We don't have a society that puts in a lot into the infrastructure. My daughter was to go and do a postgraduate to go for one program at one of these indigenous university I may not need to mention, and she was to be accommodated into the hostel. There is no restroom. There's no the place was so dilapidated, the structures are so bad. So you see that this is not a policy that bothers to look, I mean, ahead and see if other aspects of education that are bad are supposed to be improved, that will even encourage people wanting to go in there. The gifted student also will be denied, because just like you are mentioning those age, I've read a lot about so many. In fact, I saw one recently that had her PhD at age, is it 14 or 15, there about 16. We have them outside there, not in Nigeria here. But I know that if the children here are being exposed to what is happening outside world there are so many with a very good IQ that will be able to blend in and be able to do the same. So these gifted ones are going to be disadvantaged if such policies or those limits are there. So limiting access also to education will delay those that are early bloomers, those that are ready to go, and sometimes it bring frustration. And when you see a child when he's supposed to be in school roaming the streets, you will see that they will join cults, they will see friends, they will get influence. It will bring frustration. Some can lead to death. So I don't think stopping or mandating a particular age, though there is not that a child that is not mature, that has not passed through the normal process, should be allowed into tertiary education. But if the child is able and is matured, just like I said earlier, if it has gone through the normal learning in stages and is able to get to that point, should be allowed to
Mrs. Olu,
continue.
can you hear me?
So the age limit should not be something to hinder them from making progress.
How will it also impact the overall education standards in Nigeria? Will it make it better? Will it really reduce it? Because, like I mentioned earlier, there were lots of pushback based on this, on in regards to this policy. And one of the things people mentioned was the consideration of gifted children. So the minister said there was going to be,
Deep
yeah, so the
said.
minister said there was going to be a gifted
Mhm.
children's program and also skill acquisition. He mentioned that so that it will start from the primary school. Looking at all of this, do you think that this age limit policy will improve?
It's not going to work. They should have put all those things in place before coming up with a policy. If they know that they are going to work on the gifted one, they are going to put in skills acquisition, they are going to improve the curriculum, let them work on all those things. And if those ones have been put in place either in the primary level, in the secondary level, or wherever they want to inculcate all those aspects so that it will not delay the early bloomers, they should have taken those steps first before coming up with any policies. I feel that this is not really going to sit well with so many in the education sector. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Ma. I would just like to list out few names of people, students that are aware of Nigerian Tribune mentioned in his article. So students who have been impacted by this age limit, because in the past the UTME age limit was 16, and I think in 2024 it's still 16. So starting from 2025, they will start with the 18 years age limit. But for now, it's still 16. And these are some of the students who have been affected, Nigerian students who have been affected by age limit policy. First, we have is Ekele Franklin. So he was the overall best candidate in the 2020 UTME with a score of 347. And for the benefit of our audience, the overall score for UTME is 400. And so this boy scored 347 over 400. But he was denied admission into tertiary institution because he was 15 years old. David Okorogeye, who had 332 in the UTME in 2021, was also denied admission into tertiary institution because he was not yet 16. And then we also have Tochukwu Nwafo. He completed his secondary education at the age of 14, but because he wasn't 16 years old, they didn't allow him gain admission into school. And finally, we have Orisheneye Okorokeye, who had A1 in all of his subjects in WAEC, and he has the dream of becoming a neurosurgeon. But because he was not yet 16 years old, he was denied admission into tertiary university. Look at the potential that we have. Look at the potential that we have despite the limitations. I did a bit of research and I found some Nigerians that are outside of Nigeria who are doing great things. Children, for that matter.
Okay. Because the system over there will inculcate them into it and they will do well. The system here, the system in Nigeria in education, who cares? Who cares if you are early bloomer or your IQ is high and your IQ is there? But there, if they are outside, all these children you are mentioning, even while they are in the secondary school, they will have noted that this child is flying high in this aspect. They will encourage the child and they will push the child to the desires, skills and visions and dream. But the system here does not allow that. Sorry to
No,
say.
that's it's good to hear that coming from you because you've been
Ah,
in the system for
it's
over two
fine.
decades and you know what is happening. Yes. So
Yeah.
now these are I'm going to mention accomplishments of some Nigerian children who are outside of Nigeria doing great things. So first on the list is David Balogun. He was 9 years old when he became the youngest known person to graduate from high school. That's secondary school. 9 years old, and this is a child who was born in USA. Second, we have is Joshua Beckford. His parents are Nigerian, but guess what? He enrolled at Oxford University when he was 6 years old. Six. My mind is blown. 6 years old, and and he graduated from the history and philosophy department at the early age of 14. Next, we have Esther
Mm,
Okade. She earned a PhD in financial mathematics from the University of Cambridge
mm,
at the age of 16. She entered the university at the age of 13 and she has written several books, several children books. Finally, we have Chikadibia Ofili, and this young boy at the age of 12, he discovered divisibility by 7 in mathematics. And because of this, he received the True Little Hero Awards for this formula, this new mathematical formula that he discovered. These are Nigerian children. Like you mentioned, there is no limitation for them over there, and they are thriving, they are flourishing, unlike their peers here in Nigeria. But there's this final person I want to talk about, and I'm sure that you know him, Victor Omololu Sowemimo Oluloyo. He was,
so what,
yes,
Mimo?
Sowemimo. I have butchered his name. I apologize, Baba, if you're listening to this. So yes, he was once the governor of Oyo State in 1983. But before that, let's go back to his starting point. At the age of 13, he took his higher secondary examination. And then there was this other exam that he was to
Mm,
take that usually would last for 2 years before you take the exam. But he registered, and then 3 months after registration, he took that exam and he passed in one sitting. So he cleared his
mm,
GCE, he cleared all his exams. And then this was just all happening at the age of 13. So now he was to enter university, but there were no universities at the time in Nigeria. So he traveled abroad. Traveled abroad, he did his BSc,
wow.
did his master's, did his PhD. And then at the age of 27, he became the Commissioner for Economic Development for the Western region under Moses Majekodumi. Not only that, there were other things he accomplished. He got other positions such as Commissioner for Community Development, Education, Special Duties, Local Government, many more. All of this he was able to accomplish at 27. And I'm looking at me, myself, and my peers in recent times. We can't even think of saying, "Oh, we are commissioners in the government that we are under." Can
Mm,
you imagine?
at that age.
Yes, at
Mm,
that age,
mm,
at this, there's also something that I read about. He was offered a job by Shell to take on a role in Holland. Shell company offered him a job in Holland, but he declined it. And he was not, I don't even think he was up to 18 years old, but because of his brilliance, this man did everything. Now I'm thinking, what if somebody had told young Victor that you are too young, don't go to school, don't go anywhere. there is age limits, stay where you are, what would happen to his legacy? What would happen to his record? Do you understand?
Mm.
And funny, and
I
the amazing
understand.
thing is
Mm.
he's currently 89, still mentally alert, hale and hearty.
Mm.
These are people we should be celebrating. These are people we should be using to promote education, promote the benefits of education to these young ones, telling them that if
Mm.
Victor can do
And
this, so can you. If you could do this, then so
yes.
can you. Please go ahead, ma.
And I think having analyzed that kind of details about him, such people should come up and speak for the younger generation coming. Because no matter how much we emphasize it here, they still feel that because those policies are made by people that don't go through all this research you are mentioning here. They have not even gone through those research. They have not seen children even because they could not thrive here, has traveled over there, and they were able to make it. So we can also bring in that system that works over there if our system will allow it. And I believe that this age limit is really going to be a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah,
That's what I
it's
see.
good you mentioned it. People should go and read more about Victor, about Baba. They should go and read more about Baba. He has accomplished a
Mm.
lot.
Baba too can help us to speak up for the coming generation more because they went through it. Because I at age 17, I already got into the tertiary level and I continue to make progress. I finished at 22. At 22, I was able to serve 22, 23. I was done. So if I had been delayed, I don't think at the age I was able to finish and put in my energy and strength to the work I'm doing. Maybe by the time I'll be finishing, age will be telling on me, and then so many things to be competing with the ability to achieve at the age at which I was able to do what I was doing. So I believe there are many people out there that has a lot. I have a daughter that finished at 22, graduated and moved for her PhD at US. By now, she's done with the PhD. And, the system there doesn't delay anybody. Once you are ready to complete your course, meet with your lecturers and do all that you need to do, they move forward. Nobody delays anybody over there. So I think more of the people you have mentioned, they can speak up for the generation here. Now we have a lot of university. Not during his own time, he has to travel there because there was none here for him to attend. So now we have a lot of them. So nobody should come up with a policy that will hinder and delay and scatter the life of some of the children that we are even pleading and pushing so that they can move on in life. So I believe that more people will speak up, and as time goes on, the understanding will be there for everybody to go with. So that's it.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. So we're moving to our
Thank you.
final question. What recommendation would you offer to the Federal Ministry of Education regarding this policy and also for the overall improvement of education in Nigeria?
Okay. Thank you. I will recommend that all stakeholders should be involved, not just some that will sit up there in the office and decide any policy. All stakeholders should be involved: parents, teachers, examiners, school owners. Let them come together and listen to what is happening out there in the education sector. What steps can help the child development? What steps can we take to make them better in the generation we are? We are to review those policies for alternative solution to the problems we have on ground. No, somebody cannot just be an island and just decide for the whole sector, because there are a lot of things that are at stake there. And I believe that even the early bloomers can be given aptitude tests, interview, holistic assessment that will make them to know that this child is ready, can move forward, can proceed without even being delayed by any age limit. Not only that, they should increase the funding of education, because I believe that not enough is being given to education in this country. They should increase the educational funding. They should improve on infrastructures, ICT, bring in proper training. We should also implement efficient management system, because the systems are not well managed. Someone will come with this policy today, another person will come with another policy tomorrow. There should be an efficient management. We should encourage vocational training in our even secondary school, primary school, alternative pathways to not just unless the child is in university or other. So when there are other vocational training, when a child even finish at not minding the age, is able to migrate into those aspects, alternative pathways, so that they won't have to waste their time roaming the streets, losing interest in learning, then not being able to achieve their goals, as earlier mentioned. We should also eliminate corruption in all areas, because corruption has eaten deep into the system. You see some people that are even graduate, they cannot defend the certificate they have because corruption has eaten deep into the education sector. So all sectors should be properly purged, cleansed for proper learning. So go to for children to go through their learning without being interrupted. So those are my few recommendations I think I will give, and no limit that can be a kind of hindrance should be placed on children to make a to continue in a kind of seamless learning through their life age or their age through the life they are living. So those are my suggestions and
Thank you so much,
recommendations.
Mrs. Onduku. Wonderful, wonderful recommendations as
Thank you.
usual. I want to give a bit of data to some of the things that you mentioned. So, for example, the low education budget. We currently have 5.8% of of the budget allocated to education, which is 1.39 trillion naira out of 23.8 trillion naira. And bear in mind that UNESCO already gave a recommendation for all countries. 15% to 20% of the national budget should be allocated to education. But in Nigeria, we have 5.8. That is so below everything. And that's why when you mentioned the
Mm,
lack of funds, that's a big problem. You mentioned the lack
mm.
of basic infrastructure. That's
Mm.
a big problem because when you look at public primary school, public secondary school,
It's a big one.
public universities, they lack a lot of things that is supposed to help these students to thrive. They lack everything. I served in Oyo State in 2020/2021, and I was posted to a public secondary school. I can tell you for a fact that they didn't have teachers. They had about three teachers and one principal. So they had the head teacher, somebody who moonlighted as a math teacher slash science teacher, somebody who taught intro tech, and then sometimes the principal, when there's nothing to do, he will come out and teach. Then what they basically depended on was core members like myself. And these core members, we have no experience in teaching. We don't have, even some of these core members have no interest. Sometimes they don't even show up to these schools. But now you want students to depend on those people who are not qualified to teach. Now
That is
imagine
it.
if that
That is
student
it.
writes an external exam. What do you think that child is supposed to write?
If they don't do extra, if they don't do extra work, how will they be able to cover and learn? That is it. The ratio of teachers qualifying hands to the ratio of students is
It's very
alarming. You need
alarming.
to get into some schools. Is that you will see some sitting on the floor that don't even have a seat to sit. But just because they feel they should go in the morning, they should go to school, and then when they are coming, they know that they have closed for the day, not minding they actually learn. Some come with extra wrappers just to spread in a corner where they will manage themselves. You see children writing on their laps. How will such children be able to compete with the outside world?
That's the question.
There's no funding, there's no infrastructures. It's alarming, and sometimes it causes pain in one's heart when you see such things. But they are there. Can't rule out that. Go outside there, go during school time. You see a lot of things happening out there. So just thank God the corpers during your own time were even coming out to some of them will not even show up for teaching the
Yes.
students. And even when some of them, there's a particular one that read is it mathematics, and then was asked to go to the class and just give a micro teaching. Even the mathematics he wrote was wrong on the board. So tell me, some that are not well groomed, not well tutored, not well trained, coming to teach such children,
It's
there's
a
a
big
big problem.
it's a
There's
big
a big
problem.
problem. We need to look at the
Yes.
system.
And these
There's
are
a
the
big
issues.
problem. So the problem
These
are
are the issues
enormous.
that the minister should be tackling, but he's focused on age limits.
That is what they should. That is what they should focus
Yes.
on.
And looking at public universities, every year their lecturers, their non-teaching staff, they go on strike. Why? Because of lack of funds, lack of benefits. They've not paid me.
Yes,
Meanwhile, students, this
yes,
education is not free. Students are
yes.
paying school fees. But every year you see them back home and you ask them, why are you at home? My school is on strike.
There are some students that enter the same time with their counterparts. Those ones have graduated, they are still in the public universities because of strike. COVID-19 came. They are still there. They have not even finished.
Also, in Nigeria, we currently have 18.3 million children who are out of
Out of
school.
school.
A very large number that the Ministry of Education should be focusing on reducing. A very large number because it's just abysmal. It is abnormal even to have that huge number of children who are out of school in an era in a period where there is technology information easily accessible. So why is this number still so high when there's something that can be done about it? And let's even move to UTME. So you
Okay.
mentioned exam malpractice. That one is
Mm,
very much on the rise, right?
mm,
Because in 2023 UTME, 1.59 million candidates sat for that exam. But
mm,
now 69,000, over 69,000 results were withheld because of exam malpractice. In
mm,
2024, this year,
mm,
1.9 million candidates sat for the UTME, but now 64,000. Look at it's a close number. 64,000 results withheld because
ahead.
they're carrying out investigations on exam malpractice.
Mm,
These are things that should be cracked down on. These are things that should be
mm,
worked on. Now let's even move to our education standards, which is already so
mm,
bad. In the
mm,
2023 UTME, 76% scored below 200.
mm,
200 and 200 is the cutoff mark, or it was the cutoff mark, but 76%
mm.
scored below 200. And in
Now the
2024,
cut off us.
73% of the candidates scored below 200. And then I now found out something very shocking this
The
period. I
cut
found
off
out
man.
that they reduced it to 140 for universities and then 100 for polytechnic. And I'm wondering, I wrote this thing in 2012, and at 2012 it was 200. So how did we
Mm.
go from 200 in 2012 to
To
140
140.
in
Mm,
2024? So
mm,
I wanted to
mm,
even speak with you to verify because I still can't
mm.
believe that it has dropped
That
so
is
much.
it. That is it. That is it. It has dropped so and
So
so bad.
bad that
Yeah.
it. So for me, I'm even seeing it as them encouraging this
Mm,
poor education standards because
mm.
why are you reducing the cutoff mark?
The
Why not
qualities that
improve
should
your
be on what is
yes?
supposed to. Exactly. That is it. That
Why
is
not
it.
improve your curriculum? Why not
Mm,
improve your teachers? Make sure that
mm.
they are qualified people. Even when last
Gi-
was
gi-
this
gi-
curriculum
mm,
updated? I think
mm,
2022, if I'm not
mm,
mistaken. I don't know if they've
mm.
updated it since then.
The, there's not a updated. Even some of those courses, none was there. It still remained the same. Some were not even touched at all. That were
Can you
never
imagine?
reviewed. So it's just unfortunate the way the quality of education is reducing on daily basis.
Mhm.
And that is the reason the children are just, if you see some of these children, they are not even ready to read again because exam malpractice has eaten deep into the system. You see examiners collecting money, you see invigilators, they are ready to do anything, they will assist the, even some will even copy the answers on the board for children. Teachers will not allow them to. If you have trained a child very well, there's nothing that will prevent the child from going to the exam and delivering, because we also see education and examination as the only means of knowing if a child has really done well, and that's the problem. And that's why it has become a do or die affair. That is why I said that if they can only allow other means of assessing, of making the children to know if they are actually able to deliver what they know, not just asking them to write a particular exam and that is the final. A child that is not able to pass that exam is not able to make progress. There are other holistic way of making check to know if the child is actually doing well. So but now that it has been, that system has been so down and corruption is eating into it, so we are only believing God to come and rescue us, because that's what I will say. We are not among the policy makers. We are just
Yeah.
tutors that are down here handling those children. And on daily basis, I do tell my children, those biological and the one God has given me the grace to tutor, that they need to really sit up, know what they are doing. Not that after you have finished, you have gotten your A1 in a nine subject, you are just asked a few questions in chemistry, you cannot answer it. What then? That means you have only passed through the system. The system has not really passed through you. So I encourage children that are under me to make sure that they know what they are doing, pay attention to it, so that anywhere they get to, they are able to defend those certificates, they are able to defend those results. And we should allow all these systems that are corrupt, we flush them out. But who are the people to flush them out? Who are the people to fight the system? If we talk, there are things we say now, or maybe I don't know where the what I'm saying will be high. They will even be asking, what is she saying? They will even be, some parents are ready to buy the result. They are ready to pay any amount in order to make sure that their children just get the certificate, even if the material is not there, they don't have the quality in them. So it's not only in the government, it's in every home, it's in every community. School owners are not helping matter. You take a child from primary 4 to go and write exams that they have not even gone through the curriculum, they don't even know anything, and yet you want them to pass such exams. So the problem is elaborate, that only God, and I believe maybe when there are some system that will come in and flush out the dirty ones and make it better.
Thank you, Ma. Another thing that bothers me is the fact that when all these people who are tired of the education standards in Nigeria, when they decide to go abroad to study, then they
Hmm.
have to go through this English proficiency test. And
Hmm.
it amuses me because in Nigeria, our
Hmm.
official language is English. Look at
It's
us
English.
communicating in English. We
Yes,
teach
so.
each other in English. Our
Hmm.
business is carried out in English. Everything we do
Yeah.
is in English language. But
Hmm.
somehow they keep insisting that we write English proficiency tests such as IELTS, TOEFL.
Hmm.
Isn't
Hmm.
it the job? Isn't it under the jurisdiction of the Federal Minister of Education, like the Ministry of Education, to ensure that when Nigerians go to these countries, those countries don't have
Hmm.
to worry about English language with Nigerians because of the fact that we are proficient in it, we are good in it. In fact, you know how Nigerians take over everything. We've taken over
Hmm.
English language. You can even school the people who brought English language to brought send it to
Hmm.
us. But somehow yeah,
Hmm.
every time these students are applying, they are forced to write English proficient. Can't it be the legacy of our dear minister, Mr. Professor Maman? Can't it be his legacy to say at least this is something that I did, that Nigerians never have to write English proficiency test? This is under his jurisdiction. He can make it happen. We are good English speakers. It's our language. So this is legacy. And also, if the ministry, if they're so concerned with age limits, maturity, young people navigating the tertiary environment, then why not make these tertiary institutions, why not make them a safe place for young minds to thrive? Why not make
Exactly.
it
Exactly.
accessible? Why not make it, do you understand? Why not make it safe? Why not?
I
This
understand
is the
what you are
era.
saying. That's
This is
it.
the era
That's it.
of information. Somebody can easily
Hmm.
go on their phone. You can join a
Hmm.
course
And be
online. You can learn a
online.
lot. Yes,
Exactly.
learn a
A
lot
lot, a
online.
lot, a
So
lot
why not
online. That's
make
what we
this
are saying.
place
Those were
safe?
some of the recommendations we're saying.
Hmm.
Implement efficient management system.
Hmm.
Encourage a lot of ICT, proper training, give more funds to people to access it. Even this phone. Some people cannot even get phone now. Talk less of having a laptop. Know how much a
Hmm.
laptop is when you consider the conversion from dollars to naira. Some of these students don't have laptop. They don't even have the phone that we are saying. Some parents cannot avoid it again because let's say all these things they have it at readily available for the children to learn. Maybe all these things you are saying will also be applicable. So if there is an overall touch to all area that is weak, I believe that it can be better. And in terms of writing external exam, they have their standard. I will see
Yes.
it in that form. They have their standard, and if those standards are not met, maybe to make progress may be difficult. Like when I went to there's this I went to India sometimes ago. Even their doctors communicate in Hindi. If you are a patient, you just be there on the bed. All their languages, they are speaking their language. Even I learned in their schools, that's what they use and communicate. That's what they use and learn. And they come out to be very good. When we are sick here, all of us are rushing to India to go and treat ourselves because they train them in their language and they do well. So I believe that maybe some standard have been set in some of those countries that if you don't pass through it, you will not be able to access to their education system. But I believe that as time goes on, let's believe that things will be better. It will not continue to degenerate as we are seeing it, because already a lot is degenerating, and I pray God will come to our rescue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. It has been lovely chatting with you. Thank you for this wonderful session. I really appreciate your time, your intellect, the insights, everything that we have shared here today. Thank you so much, Ma. Ma, is there
Thank
anything that
you.
you would like to tell us about? Any projects you're working on, about your school? Let us know.
There are a lot of projects. We are also doing all internal effort to make sure that like every child that is in the upper secondary are able to integrate freely into the system, so that when they come to face such exam, they can do it well, not fidgeting, not panicking, or not well prepared or groomed to be able to face such exams. And finance is always a problem. So we not having enough finances to meet up one thing or the other is always a problem to the system. But God has seen the little we are able to do, we try as much as possible to do. We train, we fight against corruptions, against exam malpractices, right from the learning level to primary level. We encourage them to do what they know to do. And the integrity, we always say, when you are able to do what is right, either people are looking at you or they are not looking at you, just do it well. Don't let people what they say or the pressure they give to you to do otherwise and deviate from what is right. Make sure you give the best, because the generation to come will ask us. I was in a training some few weeks ago, and a lecturer came up almost shedding tears that, well, I think there is a topic introduced in the tertiary in the university, and the children cannot even understand the elementary aspect of it that they were supposed to have learned. I think the topic was sword in mathematics. The lecturer has to go back, create another lecture time to teach secondary school work. I don't want to be a teacher that produce half-baked child. I don't pray that will happen. So I try as much as possible to work on what our ability could carry, to make sure the children are really prepared for future learning. So we need to do an overall kind of working that will make the children to do better in whatsoever they have to do. And I pray that God that has been helping us, sustaining us all this while, this country will be better. Our policies will be reviewed and they will favor us and favor our generation to come. And I believe that things will turn around and education will be better by God's grace.
Thank you,
Thank you
Ma.
very
I
much.
also heard that your school is integrity certified. So can you tell us a bit about that briefly? Just
Yes,
tell us briefly about
so
that.
Yes, actually, when the system started, initially, when we were called into it and we look at it, it was like, how will it be? How will they do all the check and all the rest? And in fact, it really helped me a lot, because anytime I want to do anything, I will now want to be conscious that you have been satisfied. So check yourself. Is it right? Is it wrong? So that you don't get to go out of that integrity you standing for. And not only doing it, I try to inculcate into all the teachers, because if you don't carry the vision across to your teachers, there's possibility of you trying to do it on the top, but to the grassroots, even to the prefects, to the smallest children, they are able to even tell their parents at home that this one is right, that one. Parents were also inculcated into the system. In fact, they created a group for parents to know what we are teaching the children, what we are training them. So they have been a very good supportive parents that really help us, so that as we are inculcating integrity into our admission, into our learning, into examination, into parent platform, in every aspect. So that has really helped us, and I really appreciate the award. It's make me to be more conscious of what I do, and also to stand for the right. Either people are looking or nobody is appreciating it, will continue to fight for the truth. And I pray God will help me, and I will continue to stand for what is right. Thank you.
Let me just clap for you because imagine having anti-corruption values and then having good quality education, good crop of
Yes.
teachers. That's a win-win for both parents and students alike. So parents, send your children,
Yes.
okay, to Winner School in Ketu, Lagos, Nigeria.
Yes, I get Lakpere.
Yes, yes.
Yes, thank you for
Thank you
that.
so much,
Yes,
Ma.
much. God bless.
I'm your host, Vanessa Emadi, and I'm available on LinkedIn. You can also send me an email at vanessawritings@gmail.com. That's
Okay.
VANESAWRITINGS at gmail.com. Till next time on Brazen Exchange, goodbye.